I'm so excited to have you with us today, all the way from Ireland. That's a big treat for me over in Victoria, British Columbia. Welcome.
Hello, Joy. Thank you so much for having me. Yes, I can't believe I'm still in Ireland, but yes, I am glad to be. I love internet because we can just connect just like that, and it doesn't matter where we are.
I know, I love it too. So Juliette, I'm going to delve right into the questions. So my first question is, some of the authors watching today will be about to publish their first books. Others will have a number of books on Amazon that aren't selling as quickly as they'd hoped. So aside from posting and reposting the synopsis and reader reviews for their books, many authors are lost when it comes to what they should post on social media. But before you share your insights regarding effective promotional strategies, for those who don't know you, can you please tell us a bit about your background and what led you to helping others become more visible and fearlessly attract more clients through social media?
Hi guys, thank you so much for having me here. My name is Juliette Stapleton. I'm a visibility strategist, and recently I've been branded the queen of visibility. And who am I to argue? If that's what I come across to my audience, that's what I should be. And it all started really a very long time ago in 1996, where I bought my first computer and I connected with that dial-up modem to the internet, and I was mind blown because of the opportunities. And you could connect, and we didn't have video and we didn't have any of those wonderful tools we have now. It was just text, but even the fact that you can find the information that you wanted, or I grew up in creative sort of circles and I was a singer, so to find the lyrics of the song, I have to mention that I was born in the Soviet Union times, and I grew up in Soviet Estonia, and so the whole thing of 1996 was a little bit after that, where they were already independent, but to connect to the English-speaking world, and it was always a big thing for me. I went to a special English school, I had the whole thing about the English and every culture that it is connected to. So it blew my mind. And then what happened is that as I was getting the lyrics of the songs and everything, I realized, hang on a second, I can put myself out there and I can create profiles on all these forums. We didn't have social media at that stage, but we started, like, the forums and blogging started happening. And I thought to myself, this is great, because if I'm looking for gigs with my band, I can just say, well, did you check us out on the internet? And this is something that straight away I felt like there's something, internet and me, it's going to be a match made in heaven. So by 2001, I actually immigrated. By then I immigrated and I came to Ireland, and I didn't know anybody here, So talking about visibility, I had to create visibility for myself as a singer. So how do you do that? You position yourself, you create a brand. And I did that with the online we already started getting little hubs, like we started getting, not MySpace yet, but things like that for musicians, where you could put your profile with pictures, you could upload music, so I had some things that I've done previously that I had online. And I just went to, I decided to take jazz as something that is very easy to connect to people, because the standards everybody knows. You don't even need to rehearse, you just jam together and go and play. It was very easy entry, and I positioned myself. I came in and said, hey, I'm a jazz singer, shall we jam? Do you mind if I do a song with you? And I am an introvert. I am not a social butterfly. It doesn't come naturally to me. It was a decision I had to make. So within half a year, I actually had quite a good bunch of musicians, jazz musicians from Dublin scene, that were playing with me paid gigs. And I basically created a small little business out of this visibility that I created. So I had my online profiles, and I was coming up and positioning myself as a jazz singer, and nobody argues. It's the way you present yourself. That's how people who don't know you, that's how they see you, right? So that all went on and on and on. And then if we fast forward to, say, 2008, 2009, I've gained so much experience with doing stuff online, doing graphic design, even just, photoshopping pictures and making sure everything is presentable. And I started building websites, and I was blogging like crazy, because my other passion was dressmaking and fashion. So I had a dressmaking blog with tutorials, and I was part of all the big communities. And then in 2010, my husband, he is a music producer and an educator, and there was a huge competition here in Ireland where any band could enter for the biggest Irish Music Award, which is like Grammys in the US, you know, it's Irish Meteor Awards. And my husband put together a few students in his college where he was a principal, and they entered this competition. So they had zero following, and nobody cared about social media, or nobody cared about making a website. And I said, okay, let me do my magic here. And somehow it just happened that through the social media campaign, through the visibility that I've created for this band, and of course they were doing their part, you know, they were going to the radio and they were going into doing gigs, but they didn't have any followings. And through social media, we were able to get the votes, and it was through internet, through public votes, and you had to register, like it wasn't just click a button, you know, people had to go through a process, and we got 50,000 votes.
Wow.
And they won. And they won that competition out of 180 bands. And we had a huge controversy because somebody with zero following to go through a competition and go against people with huge followings, that just showed me actually that sometimes you might have a big audience, but they are not active. You know, or you can have a smaller audience, but they are really into you. And the only way the audience can be into you is when you're giving that energy back to them all the time. You're engaging all the time. You're not having an ego trip like a lot of musicians do, but you're actually giving back and you're interacting. And, you know, so this is something that I've done in 2010. So by 2012, I thought I have to do something about it and start making money with it. And I started my digital marketing agency. We moved down to a rural Ireland, small little place. So I worked with local businesses. It was going very well. I got all my business through word of mouth. I didn't have to do any marketing or look for clients or anything. And then I realized that I'm working with businesses in every industry. And that means that you are stuck, you know, because I don't like commuting. I like comfortable life. You know, when you're creating anything, you're writing a book, we're talking about, you know, writing books and being an author. This is all to create. It's not just, you know, to write a book and that's it. You want to create a life that is the life of your dreams, that you can, you know, you can sell the book and have a comfortable living, right? So sometimes everything you're doing needs to really be focused towards that. And I found myself very sort of stuck because I worked with every business in every industry. I didn't want to travel. I wanted to have the life that I enjoy, but I didn't know how to get new clients. And I was very, very insecure about losing the clients that we were working for so many years. And, you know, there is no such thing as permanent job these days. It's always going to end sooner or later. And when you're feeling stuck, there could be a situation where you resent people and they resent you because you feel like you're stuck together, you know. So I found myself in this situation. It was the start of 2017. And then I thought, hang on a second, we have internet. I'm working with internet. Why don't I put my face to this business that I have and start promoting my own brand? So through that, and I had the gut feeling I should be doing that, and I resisted for half a year to do live videos particularly. And then I went through this whole process of 30 days challenge, live video challenge. I challenged myself, pushed through my comfort zone, and then realized that after 30 days, I have something like 150 people following me. and I said, this has to be a business, because if I can influence these people with just talking about things about my life, I maybe can do something more, and maybe I can make a difference and become an influencer. And for me, influencer, if I influence one person to do something so their life improves, that's an influencer for me. And I've been working on this ever since. And you know, when you have a big change in your life, things sometimes get thrown at you. I had to face my husband getting very sick and being diagnosed with cancer, stage 4, and we actually thought that he's going to be going. And that was just when I was starting all this whole online business. And I thought to myself, you know what, this is actually, his battle is a different story, but my battle here is, what am I going to do? Am I going to break down, or am I going to actually focus on the life where he's recovered, where I have amazing life, where all my worries right now are all secure, and I don't have to, and I'm living a life that I really enjoy living. And I did that, made that decision, no matter what, didn't care about anybody thinks, including my husband and my daughter. And I focused on that. I was still looking after them, but I was focusing on that. And within basically 3 months, I've already created a visibility. I started selling my strategies that was creating my visibility as a course. And up to now, it's just been going better and better and better. And right now I'm in a situation where I'm completely location free. I'm not working with anybody that I don't like working with. My online business is bringing so much. And I see people going through, you know, pushing through their comfort zone, becoming comfortable with live videos or making great money with what they're doing online when they were so afraid of online technology that they would never go near any computers or anything. And that's just so fulfilling. So that's basically what I do. That's my background. So I am someone who knows how to become visible, but in an authentic way, in a way that you're sharing yourself as you are. And what you see is what you get. So you're really attracting people who fall in love with you, share your worldview. And these are the people that come into me for help and for me teaching them how to do this.
Now, one of the courses you talked about being great for authors, and I've got a question related to it for you, is your Fearless Client Attraction course, which I really like because you're talking about people being afraid and getting them away from being afraid and teaching them what to do. I really, really like it. And you talk about showing up, which you just mentioned. So here's my question, Juliette. Authors are a diversified bunch. So viewers today will have written everything from cookbooks, self-help books, and short story compilations to romance, mystery, and sci-fi. So what are the main considerations an author should contemplate when planning a social media campaign for a book or novel? What would be the top things they should consider?
I'm going to go a little bit wider on this whole topic.
Okay.
As an author, you're sharing something that comes from within. You know, you're either sharing your worldview or maybe you're sharing your product of your imagination if it's fiction, but you are sharing yourself. And every author is essentially building a personal brand. So the course that I've created is suitable for many different varieties. It's not necessarily just the authors that could benefit from it because it's all based around your personal brand. And your personal brand is who you are. You know who you are, and you don't have to open all your life. I'm an extremely private person, believe it or not. I strategically share what I need to share. However, I do talk a lot about empowerment. I do talk a lot about things that are important to me as an author. This is the most important thing. So whatever you are writing, whatever your passion is, whatever your book is, you really need to think about the social media presence and strategies way beyond just the launch of the book, because that's actually a tip of the iceberg. And for you to successfully monetize that tip of the iceberg, that launch, you really need to do a lot of groundwork and create the personal brand, create the following, attract people who really resonate with who you are. And it's simpler to do it than it might sound, but it does take time. It's not an overnight process. So sometimes, and I would say, if you have to see on whatever stage you are. It doesn't matter if you're a new author or you've already written a few books. You still need to think about actually creating your brand and your presence. And you're a writer, so you can share and you can read bits of your book sometimes, but don't just without hard sell, because this is social media, right? We're here on a party and everybody hates that person on the party who is there either with their business card or, there's my book, I wrote a book. And you're like, no, I just want the snacks. I don't care right now about your book. But then if we chatted about life and everything, we see that we really connect. And then you mentioned, I wrote this book and was just busy the whole year. I was like, yes, tell me more. And that's just in a nutshell what social media is.
One of the things I saw, because I'm a member of your group, your Facebook group, and one of the things that really made sense to me, Juliette, was when I had written a question about, how do you actually sell on social media? And you said it's about creating the content and developing a relationship. I'm paraphrasing, sorry. And in a private message would be more likely where you would tell somebody about your book. Right? So it's not about like what you're saying. I'm just trying to reinforce what you're saying. If we just go on there and go, buy my book, buy my book, buy my book, not going to happen.
So what I'm going to, yes, I'm going to sort of clarify and explain.
Okay.
It's not necessarily if you're an author that you need to in a private message say, buy my book, because everybody also, that's a big fail if you start sending messages to strangers
Right.
with, you know, the link to your book or with the link to your business page. That's the same thing as annoying people on a party. It's the same thing. It's not just in the post. But let me start with that. I'm building my personal brand and I'm using the best possible tool that Facebook has, which is a personal profile. Why am I doing this? Because personal profile has no restrictions with me reaching out. I can go in other groups and I can still be myself. I can interact with other pages. I can send people personal messages. If you're using business page or Facebook page for your visibility, you're limited in many ways. Not only in terms of algorithm, your reach is limited because Facebook is focusing on family and friends. That doesn't mean real family and friends. That just means personal profile and your connections, right? But it also is limiting you. Like you can't as a page contact somebody unless they already liked your page. And you can't send them a message, you know, unless they commented. Then we have, and these are all new features. A few years ago, they didn't even exist. You can't really, even if you're reaching out as a page, you can actually get slapped. I know that I've sent people messages, people who are already connected, and, you know, I was locked out of my account saying, you know, I was doing something wrong. So if you want to send any messages or contact people, you need to use messenger bots, and there is strict regulations where you can promote and what you have to deliver. So you have to think about the ways how you sell. First of all, you create awareness on social media, but actually in marketing in general. People are not ready to buy. People just see you, you're just one face in the newsfeed is like this. So you're just one face and you need to grab attention. How can you do that? Not always by being completely different to everybody else, because that sometimes doesn't work. It's the repetition, it's consistency, staying power that wins, because they see you after, you know, they see you several times. And one of those times they will see something that you've written, or, you know, the opening line, or, you know, something on your video, and then they will tune in. And that is where we're pre-qualifying. Are they someone who resonates with what you're saying or not? And if they're not, fine, you know, repel them. You don't want people who don't get you, you know, but you're attracting these people. If you have a question, for example, where can I sell? You know, it's definitely the business page. But with my fearless client attraction method is you're using your own personal profile mostly. And then if there's something that's, when you create your themes for the months, you create your themes of content that you're leading people. I will give you an example. For example, you have a book launch. And don't do this if you haven't been active on Facebook. You need to be active for at least 3 months before you do this pre-launch, right? So be active, interact with people, so there is a buzz going on. And when you have 1 month before the launch, you need to create a theme so you can have behind the scene things. You know, this is what I was talking to my editor today. You know, I was talking to my publisher. Create a hype and constantly mention this. It's called indirect selling. It's just mentioning what's going on. But you are putting that seed in people's minds that, okay, you are the author, okay, you're writing your book. And then you can also put little, or even take photographs of your manuscript or whatever, just small little snapshots, you know, a couple of paragraphs, a couple of poignant ones, and let people like sneak peek into what is going to be, you know, so they can connect more and more and more. So creating a hype, and that doesn't only apply to a book, it's actually any product or any service. If you are doing a launch, this is what you should be doing. And so through these months of content, people are already preconditioned that this is coming up. And the closer the launch date, the more excited you should be. And you should be posting and connecting to people. But don't ask them to do something for you, because they're not there for it. You know, they need to be excited. You get them excited about stuff. And then when the book is out, then you can have a week, or, you know, where you're constantly actually sending, you know, saying, this is the book. And you can use your business page as well during the launch period, you know, because some of the strategies that I teach is how do you connect the two in a more indirect way. You know, there's little hacks I've discovered while I was growing my own visibility, where how you can connect the business page and your private profile, so you can actually interact as a page with people who are interacting with your private profile. That's very powerful because you can then retarget them. And of course, if you have a launch, I know not everybody is familiar with Facebook ads or want to use them, but a Facebook page can only be efficient if you're using the same strategies connecting to people, but you are putting budget behind them so you can push them out there.
I like it. That's perfect. Great explanation and ideas, Juliette. Really appreciate you helping us here. So I think you've already answered my next question, so I'm just going to shorten it a bit. Should a person have a Facebook page for each book, or do you think if you're going to be doing multiple books, you should just work with one Facebook page and really build that community and awareness there?
Absolutely, build just one. You need to focus on one thing, guys. This is the biggest mistake a lot of people make. If you have, and every page requires so much, every profile, every platform that you choose requires a lot of commitment. Nothing is happening, there's no silver bullet, there's no shortcuts. It's hard work. Let's be very, very honest about this. And it's hard work when you're serving your audience and you're nurturing it before you ask anything from it, And I know that hard way because I've tried to sell before preconditioning my audience and it never happens. So, you really need to do that groundwork. If you have one page where it's kind of going to be like, it's going to be like your office in a way, so your personal profile is who you are, it's you, but then you have your business page and it's not really you, it's your office, or it's it's the place where people come to find out more kind of businessy or more serious about you. But it's not really you. We don't work with offices, right? We don't buy. We buy from people. We get connected to the author themselves, not their, I might be wrong saying, but not the publishing house or whoever, is behind the book, or not even the book itself, right? So this is what the business page is. Create your brand as a business page, and then every book you have, you can launch it separately. And even the old ones, you can create your monthly plan and say you dedicate 3 months to just creating themes around that old book that you want to increase sales for. And that's what you do over time. And then you have the launch, you hype up, and then you have the launch again. Launch doesn't mean that it's something new. It could be just 1 week that you are selling.
Yeah. It can be like a relaunch or
exactly.
Exactly. I really like your point that when people like you as a person, then they want to buy your product. And so many people forget that. And in all businesses, not just authors, that's for sure, right? But when they like you, they want to read what you've written. So good advice. So what about Facebook groups? I see sometimes hundreds, thousands of authors clamoring to get their books noticed. So are they wasting their time, or what would make an author stand out in a group? Like, how would you apply what you're teaching us to a group?
Well, again, the same principle. Don't spoil the party. Because everybody hates when somebody's on the party is all about themselves. These are the worst people. They're never popular. And the problem with some creative people is that they are too self-centered, right? And it's easy because, if you spend so much time creating something amazing and then nobody wants it, but that's because you didn't spend the same amount of time on exciting them about who you are and why is this so amazing, so it applies to, it's not just for books. As I said, it applies to any business. I face that in my business all the time. Selling the course is not easy. I really have to do so much work before somebody gets excited and then goes into my strategies, right? So the product itself is irrelevant even. It's the connection that we build. It's no like and trust factor. So you have to be known. That means you have to be all the time there. Like then people maybe exchange with you and give you email addresses or whatever, you build your list. Trust is when they buy. That takes time. Groups is it's a very tricky subject here. Here's a good strategy to be part of the group. And it doesn't have to be authors group. Actually, they're probably the worst. They're good for maybe exchanging some practical information, how to write a book or anything. But if you're promoting your book, don't rely on them to buy your book unless you're doing review for review. I was reading somewhere that it's a very, very good way of exchanging and, improving your rankings in Google and, and on Amazon when you're exchanging review for review. That's something you can do. So cross promotion is very good with the authors. But if you are in a group that's not connected with writing, never be promoting your book in the group, because nobody likes that. It's again, it's like, you know, party vibe assassin, I call it, you know. Show value, maybe join a group. So it depends on what, obviously it depends on what books you have. If you are doing books that are empowering or self-help or anything, you can just offer that advice without mentioning a book, because the secret is that when you're sharing value means sharing your knowledge, sharing your expertise, right? And just supporting people, they will go and check out your profile. So that's why my very first module in my course is all about how to make your profile optimized, that when somebody checks you out, they know exactly who you are, and they also are led exactly where you want them to go, whether it's your group or it's your book or anything, you know. So it's, your personal profile can be optimized, but we don't walk around waving our flag, you know, who we are. We just genuinely offering help with our expertise. So, but if you are a fiction writer, you know, you could be part of the groups that, you know, just sharing that vibe. And it depends on who you're targeting. Of course, it depends on who you're doing, but by sharing things that you know with an audience that's ready for this, that they share that interest. It's all about sharing interests, you know. Even for us, for marketers, I share interests with people who have done John Assaraf's programs, right? And that's nothing to do with marketing, but they are actually someone who becomes my clients very often. I'm just saying that this is about us sharing worldview so much more than anything else. So those are the groups that you can join. Those are people, make genuine connections, just chat to people. Forget that you're selling a book. When you're focusing on sales, they never happen, because it's the worst mindset to be. It's like a lack mindset. When you're giving, sharing, connecting to people, and almost not expecting anything in return, so genuinely, you are giving energy, but the energy is being re-given to you. And it's the absolute law of the universe, how it works. And it works like this in marketing 100%. I'm a huge advocate of giving a lot, and then not without expecting for an instant gratification. Every time you do something, there's good karma, right? And it sounds like a bit woo-woo, right? But it's actually works like this. The more you give, the more people are happy to buy your products. But the less you give and the more you wave your flag, nobody cares. It's social media. They're here at a party. They just want to talk.
I love it. I love how you frame things. It makes it really clear, and you know, reminds me of some things I've done wrong and some things I've done right. So I've done
loads of wrong things, and I'm still making mistakes, because we constantly are learning and adjusting our course. That's the natural thing.
Well, and if you don't try, right, how do you learn?
You have to try, you have to test, and you have to give it enough time, because sometimes some things take more than 1 week to try and test, especially on social media or in marketing. You need to try things, you know, and if it didn't work, try it again, maybe tweak it, analyze why it didn't work. Maybe the audience was a little bit wrong. If nobody reacts to your post and not engaging with your post, you're either saying something wrong for this audience, or you're just talking to wrong people, you know, because my daughter is a theoretical physicist while she's studying. Numbers scare me. If she starts talking about numbers or anything physics to me, she's lost me at hello. So you know, you have to remember that you need to find the audience that is open to what you, and that comes from sharing interests.
Sharing interests, I love that. So I'm going to ask you about email marketing. So I know that's an effective way to, you know, to be in contact with readers for a long, long time. So when you publish the next book, you can reach out to them again. So do you have any tips for how an author might use social media to build an email database? Now, it's easier for people who've written a self-help book, you know, because they'll have reasons to connect with people and have them join their database. But how easy is that? Or can you think of anything for someone who's written a romance book or a sci-fi book or a thriller, like novel writers?
I will give you an advice. Anything you do, any type of marketing you do, just only do it when you decide that this is going to be a focus of some sort of campaign that you're doing. So of course you want to have a big email list, but you know, the reality is that if you only email that huge list, say once a year when your new book is out, half of them won't even, they don't know you. It's something, again, like social media, it has to be nurtured. So it's actually a huge commitment. And yes, you can write, you could share you can write like mini stories, maybe, like little paragraphs and things like that, so in bite-sized pieces, and you can still connect to your audience. And in fact, nothing is too often. If you want to do it every day, if you want to get up in the morning while you're having your coffee, you're writing some thoughts, there is a cool strategy with connecting to your email list through talking about nothing.
Yeah, because, I love it.
Yeah, it's just, you can do it. You can come up with, so just don't overthink. It's connection that's important, but it's also staying power, right? We're talking about the staying power. So you are there penetrating their minds because your name comes up on the email, and you will see that some people will open and read. How do you collect the emails is through social media campaign. You really need to plan. You really need to know what you're doing. It doesn't work when you're just doing things when you're inspired. You need to know what you're doing and plan things out, but you need to have call to action. Call to action is very important, and it doesn't mean that you sell books, right? A call to action could be join my group. For if you are an author, maybe creating your own community is a really good place to be. But Facebook page doesn't work as a community. It's not effective as a community because, again, you can't, reach out, and there's not much interaction. Nobody sees the posts because of the algorithm. So creating a community of people who are interested in this subject, and for you as an author, will be, it's quite a good thing to do. So no matter what you write, then you can create a community of people who like either that genre that you're writing, or they just like you and they like your thoughts. And it doesn't have to be all about the book. That's the biggest mistake when you're making it all about your book or all about your writing. What about you? You're bigger than just one book.
Well, I was just thinking when you were talking that a really fun thing that I have done in the past and have not been doing lately is just my Friday smile break. And that's just, a video I found that's funny, or something I've created that I think is funny, or a story about my family. They don't like that part. But there's like different things you can find. And then it's just the Friday smile break. And who wouldn't want to join that email list?
You know what? That's true. And also don't shy away from doing videos, doing, live videos, and just sharing just 5 minutes, 10 minutes, just sharing your thoughts. What's happening to you? What do you think about today? Don't go into subjects that are highly controversial, or, well, it's good to be a little bit controversial because polarizing people attract more audience. It's always the truth. But don't talk about politics and religion. It's not, it's whatever views you have, there will be always people who will accuse you of taking another side. And these are two subjects that religion and politics you don't really want to go into at all. No,
I do my best to avoid those two, only because you're going to hurt somebody, and I don't want to hurt anybody anytime.
That's so true. And also they bring too much negativity because not everybody's open-minded, or and it just, they're too strong of opinions. And people who are not authors and regular people, who don't have online businesses or write books, they just get so caught up in those discussions, political discussions, and they become very angry. And that's all negativity. We don't want negativity in our life, because when the more negative we are, the more negative we're to ourselves and to our planet. And, this affects everything. So, I'm about clearing out your newsfeed. I unfollow anybody who is slightly negative. So it's important to create that positive energy about you. People get attracted. You can be still controversial in some way, and don't be afraid to be wacky. Don't be afraid to tap into a crazy side of you. That's okay, because you're filtering, you're constantly pre-qualifying your raving fans from everybody else, and you don't need everybody else. Don't talk to the universe, because there's this bunch of people, and by bunch there could be millions, because the world is big, but there's a bunch of people who will dig you so much.
That's
that
right.
they will buy all of your books because they just love who you are, right? So personal brand and building a personal brand, it's a very rewarding thing to do. It's very, very rewarding.
Yeah, one of my favorite quotes, Juliette, is "Go where you are celebrated." And I really don't know who to attribute that to, because some different people have claimed it, but I really like it. Go where you're celebrated. Don't worry about everybody else.
Exactly. And in marketing, we say attract the best and repel the rest.
I like it.
The same, and it's the right way, because we all the whole thing is based on a resonance, or resonating to each other, right? Or attracting people who are like you. In marketing, there's the whole thing about ideal client. I'm not sure if in book writing is this like an ideal reader
there
thing.
is.
Yes. So the ideal client is very often like almost a mirror representation of you. They're just in a different age group, maybe. Sometimes they might be in a different stage of their lives, but they are really sharing so much with you. So when you are giving that and you're attracting these people, you're just making your own space in the world so much more pleasant. You know, so just focus on positivity and focus on connection. Forget about that you wrote a book. Forget about it for a second. Create this for you. And I think, you know, a lot of people write a book and get very egotistic about it. Get egotistic about your personal brand and just say, this is me. This is the world. This is me, and I deserve attention, but just in the right way.
Yeah, you're just likable. That's what it is. So Juliette, we're coming to the close of our interview. So do you have any final words of wisdom that you'd like to share with everybody?
I think I just did. Make sure that you're creating fantastic, memorable, and positive connections to people. Before you start selling, there is you. And you is so much more important. And that's what you need to focus on. And don't expect, you know, have patience, because staying power is something that helps us achieve our goals. It's not setting the goals. It's being able every day to self-motivate and just bite-sized steps, small steps, you know, don't get overwhelmed, but have patience, because it's like growing a tree. Yeah, it takes so long before a little shoot appears, but you know it's growing.
I love it.
You don't see it, and then it takes time for it to turn into a tree as well. Or you know, if you want an apple, it's not enough to plant the seed. You will have to wait, and so nothing happens too fast. And give it time, put energy, nurture it, and you will get your apples.
Thank you, Juliette. I have learned so much, being reminded of things I had known and forgotten about and haven't been doing. So thank you. Now, everybody at home, Juliette is going to be sticking around for half an hour to answer your questions in the comment section. So pick her brain. She's got a ton of information to share. So Juliette, thank you for being here. And everybody, see you in the comment section.
Bye, guys. See you shortly.